So now you have seen the first roots of the 14 mindfulness trainings. That is why we always begin with the mind. The second root is in a sutra called the sutra spoken to the king of the ocean. And the Sanskrit name is Sagara Naga Raja Pari Vicha Sutra. This is the name of the king of the ocean. Nagaraja is the king of Naga. Paripracha questions. In this sutra, the Buddha proposed 10 precepts. Not only 5 precepts, but 10 precepts, developed from the 3. You see that there are precepts relating to the body. There are precepts relating to the speech, and there are precepts relating to the mind. And in the mind, there are 3 precepts. And the first precept of the mind is no craving. The second is no anger. And the third is no wrong view. So you can see the roots of the 14 mindfulness training in that. For speech, there are 4 precepts. We know that much of suffering has been resulted by wrong speech. So there are 4 precepts concerning speech. Not telling lies. Not lying, not using double tongue, not insulting, and not exaggerating. And concerning the 3 precepts of the body, so no killing, no stealing, and no inappropriate sexual behavior. Dear friends, the 14 mindfulness trainings were born in a sea of fire. It's very hot. The situation of the war is extremely hot. And you know how the fire of fanaticism, how hot is the fire of fanaticism. And I remember the first time we transmit the 14 trainings to a group of 6 people. Sister True Emptiness is one of the 6. Another young lady, her name is Mai. She immolated herself by fire in order to call for peace and reconciliation. And another girl, another young lady at that time, she's still alive in Vietnam. She is doing humanitarian work. And there are 3 young men also. I remember very well the day when I ordained them as the first 6 members of the Order of Interbeing. That's in 1964. And the Order of Interbeing is born in an environment of utmost suffering, very hard. And that is why the first precept is about non-attachment to view, openness, tolerance. Because we see that attachment to views, narrowness, fanaticism is the ground of a lot of suffering. So those of us who practice as a member of the core community or as a member of the extension community, we know that we have to learn, we have to get the insight of interbeing, we have to be free from views. We should not be dogmatic. It should not be attached to any kind of ideology and views. That is the basic teaching of the Buddha. And that is the first precept. And as Thầy look into the sutra given to the king of the ocean, Thầy thought that we can present the mindfulness trainings in such a way that can speak to the suffering of our time. But it was so difficult to make it into 10. That is why we had 14. Had 14. And please, in this retreat, we should try to revise the 14. We can bring the first and the second together to make room for another training. Because the first one is about openness. And openness is very much the same with non-attachment to views. So you can bring the two together in order to make room for other insight. So now you know the roots of the 14 mindfulness trainings. There are details, but that you'll find out later on. So if the four noble, the noble path recommend right view, the transcendence of all views, the freedom from all kind of views. And then the second noble truth, which can be viewed as also a path, not a noble path, but a path of suffering, ignoble path. Its name is wrong view. Wrong view. So the enemy that you have to combat is wrong view. And we know that when we speak of right view, we do not think of some kind of view that is superior to all kind of views. We know that all views should be removed. And the Buddha was very clear about that. When he spoke about emptiness, shunyata. He was very afraid that his student will take it as a view. When he spoke about no self, he was afraid that his students will take it as a view. No self is a kind of teaching practice in order to help you to overcome the view of self, the spirit self, so that you can see you in the other person and the other person in you. But many of us take it as a view. So instead of being caught in the view of self, you are caught in the view of no self. And that's what the Buddha did not like. So you have to be free from the view of self, but you have to be free from the view of no self. And concerning emptiness, it's the same. And we have to distinguish between insight and view. And the teaching may be presented first of all as a view. So when you speak, you must use words, language. So you are proposing a view. But as a student, as a friend of the Buddha, you should know the risk. The other person will get it and get caught in a view. So speak skillfully, offer something skillfully so that the other person will not get caught in a view. So insight is not view. The teaching can be considered to be a means to help you to get the insight. The Buddha said, my teaching is like a finger. It's not my intention to show you my finger. It's my intention to show you the moon in the sky. But if you take my finger to be the moon, you get lost. And therefore, you must use my finger in a very intelligent way. So the teaching, the Dharma, is also like that. Should be received as a skillful means and not to get caught in it. This is something like a view. And the purpose is not to offer you a match, but to offer you a flame. So you have to skillfully use the flame in order to bring the match to bring about the flame. And when the flame is manifested, it will consume the match. When insight is born, it will consume the view. There's no more any view. You are free. There is insight and not view. It is the insight that liberates you and not a view. This is very important in the teaching of the Buddha. And that is why in the order of interbeing, we begin with the mind precept, mindful understandings, openness, non-attachment to views, rejecting all kinds of ideologies and doctrines, including Buddhist ideologies and doctrines. If we are not capable to transcend the finger, we can never see the moon. Yesterday I read the speech President Obama made in Cairo University on the 4th of June. I recommend it to you, all of you to read. He speaks like a Dharma teacher. He said, I want to begin anew with Islam. America and Islam are not enemies. America doesn't exclude Islam, and Islam should not exclude America. Something like we are. He recognized all the good things that Islam has offered to the heritage of culture of mankind. And he is one of the few politicians who know how to use loving speech with humility. A speech alone can remove a lot of suffering already. And they kept uploading him because he was able to use a loving speech. And he was able to be humble. He was able to show them the nature of interbeing, although he does not use the word. Obama, Dharma teacher. Support him. Because if you don't, and then surrounded by military advisors and political advisors, he may have to make compromise and cannot continue. It's very important because Obama is made of non-Obama elements. And you are the non-Obama elements. You should continue to support him. Remember the day of his inauguration. The press said that the whole nation of America is behind their president. That's true, because people did not want the situation to continue. People want to change. And the Sangha is very strong. But how to keep that, to preserve that, how to keep the Sangha and that inside strong? Because this is our opportunity. And during your daily life, your practice, you should be able to do something in order to strengthen the Sangha behind him, around him. It's you who have voted for him. Even if you are not American, you voted for him, right? And in his speech, it's very, very clear that wrong views are there. And he had to help removing the wrong views. And his speech was aiming at helping to remove a lot of wrong views. He's doing that for us. And we have to do that in other front, in the family, in the school, in society. And our practice is to remove fanaticism, narrowness, wrong views, attachment to views. That is the first and the second precepts of the order of interbeing. He said in his speech that America does not want to stay. The troops, American troops, don't want to stay forever in Afghanistan. He made it clear. And he was using the kind of speech that we can term as right speech. Right speech, with humility. A tone of reconciliation. In that speech, he recognized the values of Islam. And he said that Islam and Muslim people is one part of the American nation. And they have contributed a lot to the prosperity of the American nation. And he treasured the presence of the Islamic people in America. He said, I bring you the greeting from the Islamic community from America. So if the Noble Path propose right view, right thinking, then we know that the suffering that has been brought about is due to wrong thinking. Thinking in terms of duality, discrimination, hate, intolerance, fanaticism. And that thinking is possible because of wrong views. With wrong views, there cannot be right thinking. So there are teachers in the past who say that the first is dukkha, the first noble truth is ill being, suffering. And they oversimplified it when they say that the cause of ill being is desire. It's not true. Desire is only one tiny part of the wrong path. The real block behind suffering is wrong view, which lead to wrong thinking. And the suffering of the world, our own suffering, have been created by wrong views and wrong thinking. That is why we have to cultivate our mind. We have to see the mind as the king, the mind as leader of everything, like in the Dhammapada. We have to work with our mind. If the Noble Path proposes right speech, and we know that suffering is brought about by wrong speech. Wrong peace is kind of peace that does not have openness, does not have understanding and compassion and reconciliation. When you write something, when you say something over the telephone, what we say should be right speech. It should convey our insight, our understanding, our compassion. And when we practice right speech, we feel wonderful in our body, in our mind. And the one who listens to us feel wonderful also. And it is possible for us to speak right, to use right speech, the speech of compassion, tolerance, and forgiveness several times a day. It does not cost anything. And it heals. It heals yourself. It heals the world. If the Noble Path proposes right action, and we know that the path leading to suffering is characterized by wrong action, the kind of action that kill, maim, destroy humans, other species on earth, and the environment. So observing a no-kade is not a wrong action. That is a right action. When the Noble Path recommends right livelihood, we know that the cause of suffering lies in wrong livelihood. We are earning our life in such a way that does damage to other human beings. Suppose our nation is selling weapons to many poor countries, because that is a very important industry of the nation. We know that America does that, France does that, Great Britain does that. We are selling weapons to the poor countries. We say that you need something to defend yourself. We play on that fear, because that industry brings us a lot of money. And that is not right livelihood. And we should not allow our nation to continue like that. We have to act together to stop that, because the children, the poor people in these countries, they need bread, they need rice, and they don't need a weapon. Imagine a little boy holding a plate for many hours without getting anything on the plate to eat. And you are offering them grenades and bombs and guns. Does not make sense. If you are a filmmaker, you are in the entertainment business, you know that there are items of production that can sell very well. But when the children consume these films, they consume a lot of violence and anger and fear. But because you are able to sell a lot, you get a lot of money, so you continue to produce these kind of films. And our children get intoxicated with fear and anger and violence every day. Some of them watch television for three hours a day or more. And that is not good, right livelihood. And as in the automobile industry, you can make fancy car consuming a lot of gasoline because you have to satisfy the rich people on earth. You are not thinking about the shortage of energy, of the pollution. And that is not right livelihood. You should think about making the kind of car that run on compressed air or other kind of clean energy. And there are many professions, many ways of living that are harmful to man and nature. And if we are enlightened, if we see the nature of interbeing, if we practice right livelihood, we see that we'll be much happier even if we have a smaller salary, but we have a kind of right livelihood that can express more compassion and understanding. To use a smaller car or to have a smaller house, to have a meager salary, you can be happier if you know that you are on the right path. You are on the path of the Buddha. You are not doing harm to the environment, to other species. And it's very clear. When you look into the roots of suffering, you have to see all these kind of things. That's so easy. You just look at the noble path and you see the ignoble path leading to suffering. Wrong mindfulness. I live wrong diligence for later on. Yesterday we spoke about focusing on mind, our mind, only in the past. And that is a natural tendency because we have lived and every experience of our life are stored there in the store consciousness. And during our daily life, we used to slide back to the past. What is important is that the little child in us is used to that kind of environment. She doesn't want to come out with us into the present moment. It has become a habit, and we have done that with him. You listen to his call, her call, and you go back, and you find it more comfortable to be in the past. But we know that your life is here and now. That is only a set of pictures, a set of films. And that is why it's very important to talk to your inner child in you. You should have time to talk to the little girl, the little boy in us who is still deeply wounded. And the trauma of the past continue to intrude into the present moment. Of course, in the past, we have suffered as a child, as someone who was abused. In the past, we had the feeling of fear. We felt impotent. We feel helpless. We feel we could not defend ourselves. We feel that we are at the mercy of the situation, of the people. But now the situation has become different. We have grown up to be a person, a strong gentleman, a strong lady. So you have to talk to the little child in you. Dear one, you know who I am? I am your adult self. I am your adult self. I am you. I want to tell you that the past is already gone. And it is possible for us to live the present moment. We are no longer at the mercy of the people. We are no longer fragile or vulnerable. We can now defend ourselves. We are very capable of defending ourselves. Come with me into the present moment. We should live our life in the present moment. Dear friend, you know that in Plum Village we practice the bell of mindfulness. Every time you hear the bell, you go home to the present moment. You may be visiting the past and thought that to be your home, and you want to go always home. You feel comfortable. Comfortable, but you suffer. As frugal, as simple as it is, it's no place like home. But that is not your true home. Your true home is in the here and the now. Because only in the here and the now that you can encounter real life. There you can encounter only memories. And you do not want to live in the prison of the past. And that is why we have to talk to the young one in us. Dear one, you know, I am you, I am your adult self. I know very well that we have grown up as an adult. We are no longer a fragile infant. We are no longer at their mercy. We can defend ourselves now. We can react. We can call the police. We can get a job. We can live our life now. So don't worry. And talk to him, talk to her. Download your wisdom. Download your insight to the little one down there. And bring him, bring her out. This is very important. The bell of mindfulness helps you. And there are many ways to help you. You might wear something. And when you touch that something, you remember that you have to go home, back to the present moment again. In Plum Village, when we hear the bell, we practice breathing in mindfully, and we say, I listen to the bell. This wonderful sound brings me back to my true home. My true home is in the here and the now. And that is not my true home. The past is not my true home. You have to instruct the little one in you. That is not our home. Our home is here. Here we can encounter the wonders of life. We can really live our life. We can now get the nourishment and the healing here in the present moment. So invite the little child to come out. Always. Don't allow it to draw you back to the past. This is a very important practice. And when you live in a community of practice like Plum Village, everything around induces you to get out of that world of memory and live your life in the here and the now. When you see a brother walking mindfully, that is the bell of mindfulness. And we are reminded by what we see, by what we hear, to go home, to our true home. Our true home is in the here and the now. There is still a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of anguish in us, because the child has not been liberated. And that is why you have to keep in touch with him, with her, and try to help. Bring the insight to him or to her. Tell him something like this: now we are well established in the present moment. Please look with me. Do we have any problem now? Someone is trying to abuse us now. Someone is trying to lock us in a kaput now. No. We are free. We can go out at any time. We can go to the park. We can go to the market. We can pick up a telephone. Do we have a problem like now? Do we have a problem now? Tell him, tell her. And he will see that we don't have any problem now. And if you don't have a problem now, you don't have any problem at all. Don't believe that you still have problems. These are concerned about the past. The past is gone. And tell him, it's okay now. There's no problem now. It's something simple, but very clear, very deep. We have to remind ourselves that things are okay now. There is no problem now. Why keep worrying? Why allow anguish and fear to take hold of you? It's nonsense. So, establishing in the here and the now with clear sight, you learn to live deeply every moment of your life. And joy, happiness is possible. And that is the practice of right mindfulness. Always go home to the present moment and live our life. Everything you are looking for is there in the present moment. The young brothers in Upper Hamlet, they are designing a watch that will be available soon. And when you look at the watch, you see always the present moment. 12 o'clock is now, 3 o'clock is now, 6 o'clock is also now. You only see now. And on it you can see it's now. It's now. Whatever time it is now. That is our purpose.